Hello, thank you very much for your interest in Oomoto. I hope you have a good day today and you are enjoying good health. My name is Masamichi Tanaka. Today I have a privilege to talk about the interfaith activity or interreligious activities of Oomoto. I hope you like my presentation. Let us start our presentation. Interfaith activity means deepening our understanding among faith traditions and joining our efforts to establish peaceful society in the world. God created religions for the peace of the world. However, we very much regret that in our history of humankind, as a matter of fact, religions caused war and bloodshed, and people were killed in the name of God. It all came from ignorance. We have to study the teachings of other faith traditions, and we have to join our efforts to establish peaceful world. The foundress Oomoto, now Deguchi, revealed at the beginning of Oomoto, in various countries and places in the world appears many messengers of God who announce the reconstruction of the world. Brooks from the mountains flow into a great river and finally into one in the ocean. This is the divine plan. This is the first utterance at the birth of Oomoto, founding of Oomoto, on February 3rd, 1892. Onisaburo Deguchi, the co-founder of Oomoto, dictated stories from the spirit world, or stories from the spiritual world. And the stories this has 83 volumes, and in the chapter 23 of volume 6, he dictated a chapter named "All Religions Spring from the Same Source." It means God is one, and God sent the messengers and prophets to save the humankind. So all religions spring from the same divine impulse. And it is the chief principle, main principle of the faith of Oomoto. He also composed many poetries, and I would like to introduce several verses from his poetries. There are many countries in the world, but the God they trust in is one. His name differs from country to country, but the Lord descended to save us. We live under the sun which shines on us all, but our worldly hearts keep us apart. So these are the main teachings of Onisaburo, that all religion spring from the same divine impulse. And Oomoto has been endeavoring for the interfaith activity with a monument. It declares the monument, Esperanto monument, we say, Uno Dio, unum mondo, unu interlingvo. And it means one God, one world, and one international language. And today I want to explain about the interfaith, interreligious activities of Oomoto. In 1923, Oomoto affiliated with the Chinese new religion, Tao Yuan. And this was the beginning of Oomoto's interfaith activities. And in 1925, Oomoto, co-founder Onisaburo Deguchi, and Tao Yuan joined efforts to establish World Religious Federation in Peking, China. And in 1926, Oomoto affiliated with White Brotherhood in Bulgaria. And in 1935, Oomoto affiliated with Cao Dai in Vietnam. And thus, Oomoto affiliated with many faith traditions in the Europe and in the Asia, but owing to the persecution by Japanese government to Oomoto in 1935 and World War II, all religious exchange ceased. And after the war, Oomoto resumed those contact with them. And in 1972, Oomoto held an art exhibition in Cernuschi Museum in Paris. And in 1975, Oomoto held this art exhibition at the Cathedral Museum. And Oomoto held a Shinto service at the Cathedral Church of St. John the Divine in New York. And this was current interfaith activities of Oomoto. In 1976, Oomoto held a prayer service at the Santa Marta in St. Peter's Basilica in Vatican. And in 1977, Dean of the Cathedral St. John the Divine, Dean Morton, visited Mirokuden in Ayabe in Japan, and he celebrated a Christian worship service, Kiss of Peace. And then Oomoto still keep the religious exchange with the Vatican. This photo was in 2002 when President of Oomoto, Reverend Yasumi Hirose, greeted His Holiness Pope John Paul II. In 1979, Oomoto visited His Holiness the Dalai Lama XIV in Dharamsala in India. His Holiness Dalai Lama was quite interested in the activity of World Federation. And we had 1 hour of the audience with His Holiness, but our meeting was over 1 hour. He got very much interested in the World Federation movement. And this picture was next year, 1980, when His Holiness visited Japan. He visited Kameoka, and this picture was taken in Banshoden when he officially visited the Banshoden temple in Kameoka. In 1991, Oomoto started the religious exchange with the Muslim leader, His Eminence Grand Mufti of Syria, Sheikh Ahmad Kuftaro. The Grand Mufti invited us to Damascus, and four of us from Oomoto visited Damascus and stayed at his mosque in the capital of Syria for 3 months. And the Grand Mufti gave us a talk on Islam, talk on the teachings of Islam, almost every day during our 3 weeks stay in Damascus, each day for 2 or 3 hours. And after we listened to his talk, we also responded with the teachings of Oomoto, and we found many points in common between the teachings of Islam and Oomoto. Finally, the Grand Mufti said, "You need not convert your faith. We have the same faith in God Almighty. You are Muslim and I am Oomoto." Then he invited us to Mecca and Medina. During our stay in Damascus, we joined the fasting of Ramadan, and we joined the daily prayers, and several imams gave us guidance on the purification, wudu, and meditation, zikr. And we practiced chanting and reciting. And finally, the Grand Mufti invited us to holy cities of Mecca and Medina. And we made 7 circuits around the Kaaba, counterclockwise. And we wear these 2 clothes as a holy Quran teach us. And we also went to Mecca, the mosque of the Prophet, and we wore Muslim shirt and caps. And in 1997, Dean Morton, James Parks Morton, he was the dean of the Cathedral Church of St. John the Divine. He opened the Interfaith Center of New York, and he became the president. And UN Secretary General Kofi Annan requested Dean Morton to host the opening ceremony of the UN General Assembly with the Interfaith prayer service of by world religions. And it was celebrated at the St. Bartholomew Church in New York at the Park Avenue. And from Oomoto, Reverend Kyotaro Deguchi represented Oomoto, and he chanted, he recited Shinto prayer at the opening ceremony of the UN General Assembly. And of course, Kofi Annan, Secretary General, greeted to the congregation. And the year 2000, in the year 2000, Oomoto offered a prayer for peace in Jerusalem. This was a Brigham in the auditorium of the Brigham Young University. It's a Mormon university in Jerusalem. And Jewish prayer and Muslim prayer and Mormon prayer were recited. We 4 faith traditions joint prayer, Oomoto and Judaism and Islam and Mormon offered prayer for the peace at the Jerusalem in 2000. And in the year 2002, His Holiness Pope John Paul II called the world religion for prayers for peace in Assisi, because in the year 2001, terrible terrorism happened in New York. So Pope called for to the world religion to pray together. And from Oomoto, the president, Reverend Yasumi Hirose, offered a prayer from Oomoto. In the year 2004, Chief Phil Lane Jr. From Lakota Sioux, White Swan tribe, he proposed to offer a sacred pipe ceremony in Chosedem in Ayabe. So the Chief Phil Lane Jr. offered sacred pipe ceremony in Chosedem in Ayabe. And the same year, in June, Oomoto and Mongolian Buddhism offered prayer for peace in Ulaanbaatar, the capital of Mongolia, commemorating the visit of Onisaburo Deguchi's visit to Mongolia, the 80th anniversary of his visit to Mongolia. For the peace of the world, peace in Asia is very important. And Mongolia has the key for the peace in Asia. So that's Onisaburo valued visiting his visit to Mongolia. And this was the 80th anniversary of his visit. And in same year, in December, Oomoto opened office at the capital of Brazil, Brasilia, Oomoto Internazia, and commemorating the 80th anniversary of the missionary work began in Brazil. The spiritual leader, Madame Kurenai Deguchi, and Oomoto followers held a joint prayer with the Esperantists in Brazil and the Spiritists, many Spiritists in Brazil. Oomoto offered a joint prayer service in Brasilia. And in 2008, I visited Damascus, Abu Nur Mosque, and attended the Friday service of Islam. Because after 17 years after our visit to Mecca and Medina, I visited again Syria and greeted to the congregation at the Friday service. His Eminence Grand Mufti passed away in 2004, and his son, Sheikh Salaheddin Kuftalo, he has been the successor of the Grand Mufti, and I greeted the congregation. And after visiting Damascus, I visited Nicosia, the capital of the island. That's Cyprus, capital of Cyprus. And community St. Egidio sponsored the meeting for the world peace, meeting of the prayer for world peace. And I, representing Oomoto, offered prayer for peace in Nicosia after I visit Damascus. And in the year 2009, Memnosim Foundation co-sponsored the opening ceremonies of the Teotihuacan Cultural Center and Mayan Cultural Center. And in front of the pyramid of Sun, we offered prayers for the peace of the world. And I represented Oomoto, and I offered prayer for peace at the park in front of the pyramid. And that was the day of the deceased in Mexico. And in March 2000, this is 2016. Same year. Same year, 2009, Oomoto celebrated Uta Matsuri, or Poem Festival, in the capital of Brazil, Brasilia, commemorating the missionary work in 90th anniversary of the missionary work, Oomoto missionary work in Brazil. And this is a Mongolian center in the year 2009. In the year 2009, Oomoto opened a Mongolian center, Mongolian headquarters in this Asmon building Asmon. And so now we have two headquarters, Brazilian headquarters and Mongolian headquarters, because Mongolia has the key for the world peace. And in the year 2011, March, the spiritual leader from Taoyuan offered prayers in Ayabe, in Choseden, Ayabe, for the prayer for the earthquake, because in northern Japan, a big earthquake happened, and so people from congregation from Taoyuan, Chinese New Religion, and spiritual leader and followers offered prayer for the earthquake in Choseden, in Japan, in Ayabe. And in June, same year, 2011, in June, spiritual leader Madame Kurenai Deguchi offered prayers for peace at the Temple of Taoyuan in Taiwan, in Taipei. And at that time, special Fuchi, special revelation, divine revelation, was held. And at that time, in 2016, Kaodai celebrated the 90th anniversary of its founding, and the spiritual leader and the Oomoto members of Oomoto visited their headquarters, main temple, and offered prayer, joined the celebration, and offered prayer. And in the same year, in October, Oomoto Roma chapter, Oomoto chapter, overseas chapter in Rome was established, and this is the altar of the Roma chapter, and he is the chairman of the Roman chapter, and at that time representing Vatican from the dialogue secretariat, from the dialogue Vatican, Reverend Indunil greeted, and he spoke about the relationship between Oomoto and the Vatican. And at that time, that was the anniversary of the 50th anniversary of the Second Vatican Council. And the spiritual leader and the group of Oomoto followers, group of Oomoto members, also attended the international conference, international meeting to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Second Vatican Council. Rabbi David Rosen and also the General Secretary General of the Community of St. Egidio, they gave the lecture, keynote speech. And at that time, His Holiness Pope Francis greeted the congregation, and he spoke about the value or the importance, significance of the Second Vatican Council and the 50 years history. And he welcomed many religious spiritual leaders from many faith traditions, and also one of leader, the spiritual leader, Madame Kurenai Deguchi, greeted His Holiness Pope Francis. And thus, Oomoto has been visiting various places and visited many faith traditions and meet the religious leaders and offered prayer for peace in various places in many spiritual centers in the world over. Thank you very much for your listening. Thank you very much.